What's up, photo freaks? I'm Matt DeConti. Welcome to episode 14. Today we are at the location where they shot House on a Haunted Hill and also Blade Runner, which was Decker's place. This place is ridiculous. It is so awesome. There's not even there's so many different angles we could have shot this from. I'm so excited to be here. Architecture is ridiculous. I mean, I get that spooky, eerie feeling just standing around it. If you ever get a chance to roll by here, it's awesome. Well worth it. Anyways, so today we're going to talk to you about manual mode. Get the heck out of auto mode. It's not that difficult to be in manual mode. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's well worth it. Auto mode is fine for a quickie if you don't really want to learn, but it's awesome. So we break out the camera. It's just a little crop sensor camera. So the first thing you're gonna, well, what I do, let me just go over what I do. So you got your settings on here. The little green camera, usually it's a green camera on there. That's for auto mode. And then you have A, which is aperture, or think on Canon, it's going to be AV for aperture value. Shutter, which is your shutter priority, shutter speed. On Canon, it's going to be time value. And then M for manual. So the first thing I'll do is I go in there, adjust my white balance, use the white balance cards, get that all set up. And that all involves the aperture or the exposure triangle. So, God, there's a lot of freaking flies around here. Yeah, bloopers. Anyways, ISO. So the things you're going to set up are your aperture, shutter speed, ISO. They all control light. They all affect one another. So a pretty safe bet that I do, I automatically set up my ISO on auto ISO most of the time, unless I'm going to shoot like at night. That's usually when I'll do the manual ISO. So you can go into your settings, go into ISO, set that for auto. So that is going to adjust according to your aperture and your shutter. The next thing I do is, and on your camera, like the camera we're shooting with, the A7R2, that's usually what I shoot with, that you can customize. So I actually at the top I have a customized button for aperture and I have a customized button for shutter. So you got your auto ISO, then you go, what I do is I go straight to the aperture. I have that as low as I can and I try to keep it to the lowest aperture, which I'm using the 24 to 70 2.8 for the G Master. That's what it's being filmed on right now. I try and keep between 2.8 and then a couple of stops above. I think right now what do we have it on, 3.5, Austin? I think it's 3.5. So I try and keep it there. And then the shutter, excuse me, the shutter priority or shutter speed, I'll adjust that. So I'm constantly, depending on the settings, depending where we're at, you'll adjust your shutter. And I don't know if this looks funny on camera, me holding it like this, but whatever. Adjust the shutter and your aperture. The shutter is definitely gonna, shutter speed will be your motion. Will change your motion. So if it's something standing still, usually at 60, keep it at 60. When things start moving, maybe go up to 250. That's usually a good rule of thumb. Check out the other videos. I have other videos on shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and exposure triangle. That is really what manual mode is. You're going to adjust your shutter and your aperture, and then you can adjust your ISO. It's not really totally necessary until you do something like really, really dark. That's just in my opinion. I think there's probably something I might be forgetting, another scenario that you might use ISO. But that's really it. That's that simple to be in manual mode, to just adjust your aperture and your shutter, and make sure you customize your buttons so you can kind of do it as you move along. What you'll notice is when you have your aperture really low, you'll notice a light adjustment, or when that shutter starts changing, it's going to adjust the light. If you do go into manual ISO, the higher the ISO, that means you're going to have more light. The ability to shoot in low light. So if you have an ISO that goes up to 25,600 or so it says, that's the ability to shoot in low light, because it allows more light into the camera. So you know, if you are manually doing your ISO, adjusting your ISO, and you're raising that ISO, you're going to have more light into your camera, so you're going to be adjusting your shutter and your aperture. I try not to get into all that, and I try to just keep it on auto ISO to keep it simple, because that's what we're about. And there's not a whole lot you need to do. Once you have that ISO on auto, and you do the manual aperture and shutter, it's really a matter of just getting accustomed to it and seeing how each one affects one another. That is it for manual mode. Don't forget, you're going to need to adjust your white balance. That's the other thing that I think is pretty important. Other than that, that's really it. So go out. I would pause this, or after the end of this video, go out, try it, practice, and then come back and watch your other videos, the ones on aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. Check them out, because I go into examples and I show you how it affects your shot step by step on each level. So that's pretty much it. Get out of auto mode. Do manual mode. That's the best way to do it. You're gonna love it. And let me know how it's going for you guys. Show me some pictures. Let me know what you think of this video and this awesome location. I can't believe we've been to all these locations, Austin. We haven't got kicked out yet. So the parking was horrendous. But anyways, yeah, House on Haunted Hill, Blade Runner. I don't know. Enjoy. Like us, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next tutorial. Photo Freaks out. Peace.